President Bush had 2,686 days to catch Osama bin Laden. President Obama got that job done in 831 days.
What I believe was one of the most gutsiest calls of any president in recent memory.
This was a gutsy decision by the president.
It is a better place because of the death of Osama bin Laden.
President Obama makes the call, and the mission is a success.
We can report the president will announce that Osama bin Laden is in fact dead.
We continue to learn new details about how it all unfolded.
Good evening from Washington. I'm David Gregory.
Justice has been done.
A CIA operation. Can I say overseas? Can I say it has something to do with something overseas? Yes.
Today, at my direction, a small team of Americans carried out the operation.
When that helicopter was seen to be unable to move, all of a sudden you had to go into Plan B. And they did it flawlessly.
This purportedly the bloody scene.
I'm fascinated by the fact that there was a neighbor next to this compound live tweeting during the raid. Go away, helicopter, before I take out my giant swatter.
DNA analysis confirms with 100% certainty that, in fact, it was Osama bin Laden killed.
But how did Osama bin Laden hide in plain sight for so long?
This was not a cave in Peshawar.
The United States has been Pakistan's banker.
$18 billion in foreign aid over the last decade, as you mentioned, and yet Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan.
I think it's inconceivable that bin Laden did not have a support system in the country.
Bin Laden holding up there over the course of the last 6 years.
Hiding behind women who were put in front of him as a shield.
And what happens next?
Are we going to ultimately get a photo of the deceased Osama bin Laden?
Do you believe that's necessary at this point?
Sure.
Al-Qaeda Central is going to try and respond.
Leon Panetta, who had overall command of the kill mission, is now warning of potential retaliation.
It's not going to end just because we've killed this notorious, really international criminal.
Good evening from New York. President Obama will visit Ground Zero on Thursday to honor the victims of Osama bin Laden's September 11th attacks. Today, after the Central Intelligence Agency said it confirmed through DNA analysis that Osama bin Laden is dead, President Obama said this.
I think we can all agree this is a good day for America. Our country has kept its commitment to see that justice is done. The world is safer. It is a better place because of the death of Osama bin Laden.
Bin Laden's death is the direct result of an order issued by President Obama to his new CIA director, Leon Panetta, a few months into his presidency. The signed order said, "In order to ensure that we have expended every effort, I direct you to provide me within 30 days a detailed operation plan for locating and bringing to justice Osama bin Laden." Bin Laden avoided phone or email communication and relied exclusively on a network of couriers. 4 years ago, Guantanamo Bay detainees revealed the identity, but not the location, of one of those couriers to U.S. intelligence officials. 2 years later, officials determined the general region in Pakistan where that courier and his brother operated. Last August, the key break came when the U.S. pinpointed their exact location: an affluent Pakistan suburb in a 3-story home situated in an extraordinarily unique compound. That compound was built in 2005. It was 8 times larger than other homes in the neighborhood. It had 12 to 18-foot walls lined with barbed wire, 2 security gates, and few windows. Despite being a $1 million home, it had no phone or wireless access. The residents of the compound burned their trash rather than set it on the curb, as is custom in that neighborhood. By September, the CIA determined that a compound like this could not just house the courier and his brother. It must also house a high-value target. By mid-February, the president and CIA director Leon Panetta saw enough intelligence to feel confident that that high-value target was indeed Osama bin Laden. Starting on March 14th, the president chaired the first of at least 9 National Security Council meetings to review plans for a course of action, all while Congress negotiated a budget resolution to avoid a government shutdown. And on Friday of last week at 8:20 a.m. in the diplomatic room, the president authorized the military operation to take out bin Laden before leaving to survey tornado devastation in Alabama. No foreign government, including Pakistan, was informed. The operation was originally scheduled for Saturday, but weather pushed it to Sunday. On Saturday evening, the president attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where he let on nothing, obviously, when Seth Meyers speculated on Osama bin Laden's location.
People think bin Laden is hiding in the Hindu Kush, but did you know that every day from 4 to 5 he hosts a show on C-SPAN?
Then on Sunday at 2 p.m., the president met with military principals to review final preparations for the air assault. Around 3:30 p.m., that mission began. The president and his closest aides sat in the Situation Room, monitoring the operation in real time. Joining me now, NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Chuck Todd. Chuck, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I know you've got about 1 hour of sleep in the last 24 hours. Chuck, the situation was being monitored in the Situation Room by the president, but it was Leon Panetta in a separate location at CIA headquarters. Was he at the same time participating and directing it from CIA headquarters?
The person directing the operation is the head of JSOC, an Admiral McCraven. He was the person that runs this special forces operation. I want to back up to March 29th. You've given a great timeline, but I'll be honest, Lawrence, we've gotten a couple other briefings even in the last few hours. Essentially, they're doing debriefings of the men who participated in this capture and kill of bin Laden, and so the story continues to unfold. March 29th, the president is offered an array of plans at how to go after bin Laden in this compound. He narrows it down to 2 plans. One is the one that was carried out. The other has not been shared. He dismissed any idea of using Predator drones or any sort of aircraft from above, B-52s or anything like that. And it's at that point that they built a model of this compound. And the Navy SEALs did practice runs on this raid in this replica of the compound. They knew this compound, at least from the outside, about as well as you could, thanks to the aerial footage and everything they had been doing since that last August of last year when they first identified this compound. And you walked us through all the way on Sunday. On Saturday morning, as you know, it was on Friday night when the president was headed back from Florida. He was informed that weather was going to delay this a day. So on Saturday morning, the president calls Admiral McCraven. This is the guy that's leading this. He is the commander in charge of these Navy SEALs that were going in. And he says, he wanted to let him know that he had 100% confidence in him, that he believed in this intelligence more, and not everybody around the president believed this was the right way to do. That's why you've heard the word gutsy call, and this was the gutsiest decision, as John Brennan said at that time. And the president calls up Admiral McCraven, and he says that he just wanted to let him know Godspeed, and that he wanted to personally thank him and his soldiers that were going in, and that he'd be personally following the mission all along. Obviously, you walk through what happened Saturday night. President goes about his day. So on Sunday at 3:30, as they're watching the video come in, and it's a 40-minute long raid, lots of tense moments. John Brennan said today that every minute passed by as if it was a day at some point, particularly the tense moments of the helicopter that was supposed to hover. 2 Black Hawks brought this team in. They were both supposed to hover, and instead one got grounded and had to land. And then they heard one of the soldiers on the ground say, "Geronimo, Geronimo, Geronimo, E-K-I-A." And what this was a code for, Geronimo was the code for essentially mission accomplished. They got bin Laden. and the EKIA was to say, enemy killed in action. And that's when they knew, that's when the president knew, over watching both of them, getting this audio and the video in real time using the technology, that bin Laden had been captured and killed. And now we're still getting more information about the firefight itself. Senior administration officials are backing off this idea that bin Laden ever picked up a gun. There were others in that room that did. Bin Laden was shot twice, once in the head, in the eye, once in the chest. As for the human shield, the woman that was the human shield, they're now backing off of that a little bit and saying it was a woman caught in the crossfire and killed, not bin Laden's wife. She survived the attack, but this was the wife of one of the others. But the only body they pulled out and took, Lawrence, was bin Laden's body. At this point in time now, they believe that Pakistani intelligence agency has secured that compound.
Chuck, any indication on how much of this was captured on video?
Quite a bit was captured. There's an amazing amount of video. There is photos and video of bin Laden's shot head. It's a gruesome photo, and that's why there's still a debate about what to release, how to release it, whether to release it at all. There's a video recording of bin Laden's burial at sea. At least one person here at the White House has seen it, not the president. And so there is a lot of, it was very important to the president and to the commanders on the ground to be able to have a chronicle of everything that they went about, because they know the belief. But they are not just 100% certain because of DNA, but officials also make note, Lawrence, nobody from Al-Qaeda is somehow pushing back that he's alive, that he's dead. It is only the craziest of conspiracy theorists at this point.
NBC News, Chuck Todd. Chuck, thank you very much for filling us in on the latest details.
You got it, buddy.
Joining me now, NBC News national investigative correspondent Michael Isikoff. Thanks for joining me tonight, Michael.
Good to be with you, Lawrence.
Michael, what is the Pakistan dimension of this? There is so much that must be spinning in the White House about this right now. There's the question of what did Pakistan know and who in Pakistan knew what. Did Pakistan want to know if the United States was going to do something like this?
Right. The Pakistani dimension to this is huge. I thought one of the most notable moments today came when John Brennan, the White House counterterrorism advisor, was briefing at the White House. And the question of whether Pakistani officials could possibly have not known about bin Laden's presence in this large $1 million compound in this affluent area populated by current and former military officers, walking distance to Pakistan's West Point. And John Brennan said it raises questions that Pakistani officials seemed surprised when they were briefed on it, but clearly he had questions in his own mind, and he threw that out there. That's no small thing to be done from the White House podium. The other really interesting point that came out in the briefings today, in the earlier briefing by DOD and CIA, and the question came up, were Pakistani officials informed ahead of time about this operation? And the answer was no. Think about that for a moment. A military assault operation with helicopters, special forces going into a foreign country, guns a-blazing, and you don't tell anybody in that foreign country's government. This is supposed to be a U.S. ally. I think that tells a lot about the state of the U.S.-Pakistani relationship right now.